Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues and distinguished speakers, in the name of Dr. Marwan Sakran, the director of Bitlisaniyat Academy, the vice director Dr. Safiya Ksaf, the Dr. Abdulkader Mtwati, and the director of linguistics research and language planning team, and Professor Yassin Jamal Idrisi, the executive director of the academy, and all members of this international house of linguistics. I welcome you all to this international conference on artificial intelligence and scientific research, organized by the Linguistics Research and Language Planning team. It's both an honor and a pleasure to see you, so many deducted professors and professionals gathering and following us today to explore the profound impact of artificial intelligence on our research practices and educational methodologies. As we navigate through an area defined by rapid technological advancement, artificial intelligence stands out as a transformative force across human and social sciences, culture, linguistics, research, and multiple disciplines. This conference that will enhance our understanding and inspire innovative approaches to scientific inquiry. Throughout the day or throughout these sessions, we will examine a range of critical topics. Our first panel will focus on developing good research questions in the age of artificial intelligence, addressing how these technologies can assist us in formulating insightful inquiries while also highlighting potential challenges. Dr. Busheib Benzhaf will lead us through this important discussion. Following this, we will delve into the ethical considerations in artificial assisted literature reviews with Prof. Ismail Dahia, emphasizing on the importance of maintaining ethical integrity as we integrate artificial intelligence powered tools into our research process. Dr. Aziz Qaisi will then guide us into exploring the thematic analysis of qualitative data, pushing the boundaries of traditional methodologies. In the second session, we will our focus to conducting literature reviews using artificial intelligence by Professor Large Reem. This session will provide insights into the practical applications of artificial intelligence in stimulating literature reviews while addressing the challenges that researchers might face. Professor Bilal Amdiaz will with a presentation on improving through artificial intelligence tools, offering us a glimpse into how these technologies can elevate our research outcomes. By the end, we will hear from Professor Mohammed Idrisi, who will discuss in embracing artificial intelligence in English language instruction. He will highlight the artificial intelligence potential to enhance teaching methodologies and learners' engagement. Throughout this session, I encourage you all to engage actively in the discussions through writing your questions and comments within the live chat. Your insights and questions are welcome. As we embrace on this intellectual journey together, let us keep in mind that our goal is not only to understand artificial intelligence and its impact on research, but also to raise questions for future research. Thank you for being with us today. I look forward to this to an enlightening and inspiring conference filled with meaningful exchange of ideas. First, let us begin our first session with Dr. Bushay bin Zahaf, the head of Department of English Studies at the Faculty of Letters and Humanities and at Shuaib Ali University in Jeddah. He holds a doctorate in second and foreign language learning from the same institution and actively involved in research through applied in language and culture studies lab. Founding member of and Secretary General of the local branch of the Moroccan Association of Teachers of English, MATE. Dr. Bin Zahaf research focuses on language acquisition, multilingualism, and assessment with over 30 publications in national and international journals. His work has made significant contributions to the discussion of various fields. Let us join the presentation of developing good research questions in the age of artificial intelligence, opportunities and challenges by Dr. Bin Zahaf. Dr. Bin Zahaf, the floor is yours. Dr. Bin Zahaf, if you are here with us. We have Mr. Ismail as well.
Yes,
Yes, we have some questions that. Yes, okay. We have some questions that some followers have.
good.
For example, we have Mr. Mohammed Haddawi says, does artificial intelligence facilitate the task for researchers or kill creativity and higher order skills such as critical thinking?
Well, the answer is yes, it does facilitate the process of research because it can do things that humans cannot do. It can process it can process tons of information. But does it create creativity? I don't think so. We need to exercise our critical thinking. We need to exercise our creativity because as went in the process of my presentation, in the process of my colleague, Professor Dahia, we need to evaluate the information that is provided by artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence can sometimes hallucinate and give you fabricated data. So you need to evaluate that information that's provided against credible sources, against trustworthy sources, and pass your judgment. Artificial intelligence also cannot be treated as a co-author, but just as a tool that helps, and as a tool that sometimes fails. So it does facilitate the process of research, but we need to exercise our judgment regarding the reliability of the data by comparing the data, trustworthy sources. That's it.
Thank you, Dr. Bin Zahaf. We have another question from Professor Rida Al-Ghamdour. He says, would you elaborate more on how to choose the population of the study and the sample?
It depends on your objective, the objectives of the study. What are your objectives? Are you studying, for example, the impact of technology at university or in high school? So if your objective is to investigate, let's say, the impact of technology at university, then the population is the university students. And then you should choose your sample from that population. For quantitative research, there are rules, in fact, but let me pass this simple rule that 100 is enough. 100 participants is quite a good size number. For qualitative research, the criterion is saturation. We continue to collect data until no new themes emerge, until no new information produces itself. So we stop there. If the population is homogeneous, I think that something between 10 and 20 can be enough. If the population is heterogeneous, then I think that we can go up to 30. But the criterion is data saturation. when we continue to collect data until we stop receiving new information.
Thank you again for your insights. And we have another question from Professor Jawad Mazouzi. He says, if the researcher use the research question refined by artificial intelligence, would it be considered a form of plagiarism?
Well, I have spoken about transparency, and Professor Dahia has also spoken about transparency in disclosing the use of AI. Where there's nothing wrong with using AI, but you have to acknowledge the use of AI, and you have also to explain how you used it. Okay, so don't stop at acknowledging the use of AI, but also disclosing, and this is something that has been emphasized by Professor Dahia, disclose how you used AI in your research. So it qualifies as a kind of plagiarism. It qualifies as a kind of plagiarism if you don't acknowledge, if you're not transparent about the use of AI. And let me also add that it's hard to qualify as plagiarism because AI is not a writer, is not an author, but just as a tool, just a tool. But still, we have to acknowledge the use of this tool.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
So even though actually it's not a writer, but again, plagiarism has to do with maybe saying that you have written something that is not yours. And so when you use AI, for instance, to generate, as I said, something, not to refine what you have already written yourself, to generate something, I think it counts as plagiarism. And again, you mentioned the fact that acknowledging that you used AI is not enough, which is of course very true. And you have to acknowledge the use of AI, and you have also to acknowledge the stages at which you used that AI and how you used it. So you must, for instance, there are some international academic guidelines for AI use that states that you have to, not just acknowledge, as you said, the use of AI, but again, to provide the output and the input, meaning the prompts that you used to ask AI to generate certain things. Okay, so again, this differs from from different academic institutions. For instance, Elsevier says that AI should not be used at all, even for the refining, for maybe refining something that you have already written yourself. It's not allowed to use it. Okay, and there are of course other academic institutions that may allow, for example, AI tools to be cited as maybe as I would say reliable sources. So you can, for instance, cite something that AI has written for you, and in references you include the name of the tool. So ChatGPT or Perplexity AI or whatever tool you used. You also use maybe the prompt and the year or the time when you use that specific AI.
Thank you, Professor Dahia. I can't agree more. And there are some journals now that tolerate the use of AI, that just want a disclosure of this. There are some journals that that require that you mention using AI in acknowledgement. I acknowledge using AI in this to write or to refine this section. Or to refine language. Yes.
These guidelines actually differ from journal to journal. Okay, so you might find that there are some guidelines that are inconsistent when it comes to how AI should be used in the research. Okay, so these guidelines they haven't agreed on certain guidelines that are universal that every researcher must abide by, and there are again some controversies on some of these guidelines.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you again. Let's move very quickly to Mr. Dahia. Professor Ismail Dahia is an assistant professor at the Higher Education and Training School in Oujda. He is also a NIFL teacher for high school, having obtained his BA in linguistics from Mohammed I University He continued with his academic journey with a master's degree from Ibn Tufail University. Currently, he is a third-year doctoral candidate at the Applied Communication in Context Laboratory at Mohammed First University, where he focuses on enhancing communication strategies in educational settings. We will explore AI-assisted literature reviews, ethical considerations with Professor Ismail Dahia. The floor is yours, Mr. Ismail. Please activate the mic, Mr. Ismail. We don't hear you. You need to activate. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Now, yes.
Can you see the presentation?
Not yet.
Normally, it's already. I have already shared the screen with you. I don't know.
Yeah. Just try to reshare it again. Reshare the presentation. Just follow the same steps that we did before. Now it is here. Here.
It's there.
Yeah.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, it's fine. It's okay. You can move on.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are doing great. So before I get started, I'd like to thank Bitlisaniyat Academy for the opportunity to be part of this interesting and insightful conference on the use of AI and scientific research. As you can see on the slide, my presentation is entitled AI-Assisted Literature Review, Ethical Considerations. So Professor Mizhaf has already talked about one of the most important aspects of doing research, which has to do with formulating good and feasible research questions and how we can make use of AI in, again, achieving this goal. Okay, so the presentation, of course, is centered around how researchers can make the best of AI in order to conduct a rigorous and robust literature review. So the emergence of LLMs in the world has sparked, of course, various interests about the effectiveness of AI in the world. Okay, and so for the average, I would say AI enthusiast, we can use AI to do very simple tasks like writing emails and maybe try to I'd say. Give me 1 minute, please. Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, please?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So, sorry. I can't see the screen. Give me 1 minute, please.
Yeah,
I have a technical issue here. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Normally, I can't see the screen. Can you see the screen?
The screen is clear for us. We see artificial intelligence and scientific research.
I can't see the screen. I think there's a technical issue here. Let me fix this, please.
It's okay. No problem. Now we are on the first slide.
Okay, I think it works. Okay, that's it.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, it works. Okay, sorry for the technical issue. So one of the reasons why I have taken it upon myself to focus exactly on literature review is because there are, of course, some serious problems that researchers, especially beginner researchers, that face when trying to do a literature review. Okay, and so I have conducted a comprehensive search for the most important elements within a literature review, okay, as they are summarized on the slide. And some of these elements, as you can see, is a comprehensive summary. And so if you consult any definition of a literature review, you'll find that an important element of the definition has to do with researchers trying to find different summaries of different articles that have been already done on a specific topic. Okay. And so what researchers generally do is that they read. So they have a list of reading materials that they need to do, okay? Be it articles, books, and maybe theses, okay, that have already tackled the topic they are interested in, okay? And so this specific element is very important, as I'm going to show how, of course, the use of AI can be very effective in addressing these issues that can be already faced by researchers. And the second one has to do with critical analysis. Okay, and so critical analysis is also a very important element of conducting research reviews. Okay, and why this critical analysis is, I say, relevant to my presentation is that we are going to see how researchers who overuse or over rely on AI tools, okay, diminish their abilities to critically analyze, to critically do research, while at the same time maybe just relying on AI to do their work instead of using it strategically or systematically. Okay, another problem has to do, or another issue or element has to do with the identification of trends and debates, looking at how different authors, different researchers and scholars have already dealt with the topic they are investigating. Another element, again, is synthesis of research. And so when we do a literature review, we are again necessarily doing a synthesis of previous research. The second one has to do with contextualization. So contextualization is when the researchers, of course, when they are doing the literature review, of course, these researchers again need to contextualize the research. And the way they do that, of course, is by referring back to what has already been studied in the topic that the researcher is conducting. And the second one, of course, for the justification for the research. So Mr. bin Hamza, bin Zahab, I think, have already talked a bit about how can AI be used for identifying research gaps. Okay. So here, as you can see on the slide, I have a list of challenges that researchers generally face when conducting a literature review. And so the idea here is to see how AI can be used to effectively address these challenges. So the first challenge has to do with finding relevant sources. So researchers often struggle to locate relevant and up-to-date academic sources due to the overwhelming volume of literature available. And so when researchers harness the power of AI, tools like ChatGPT and say Perplexity AI, Space, and many others. Okay, they can minimize the time spent on finding relevant sources. Okay, the second challenge has to do with managing large amount of data. And so instead of spending days or months, okay, looking for relevant say articles, relevant readings that are going to be of help to you as a researcher. Okay, so you can of course make use of AI in order to do that task for you. Okay, and of course there needs to be of course a complementary or supplementary, I'd say, relationship between the researcher and AI. So instead of over-relying or overusing AI to do the work for the researcher, they need to of course recheck and verify whether this, the articles are of course relevant to his or her field. Another problem has to do with understanding complex language. And so as a researcher, you might sometimes be compelled to refer back to AI in order to make certain ideas clear. And so you are reading, of course, an article or a book on a specific topic, and sometimes the language there might be difficult to understand. And so you might find yourself, of course, overwhelmed because you have no idea what this scholar, of course, is trying to understand, trying to say, to explain, or trying to say. And again, you can use or just copy whatever the scholar says and try to ask an AI tool like ChatGPT and others to explain it to you. Okay, of course, with examples. The second one has to do with synthesizing data. So researchers need to compare and contrast different studies, identify trends, and synthesize findings, which can be time-consuming. Okay, and so what most researchers, of course, might think that is that doing a literature review would be just looking for articles, reading certain articles or books or materials, okay, and then try to copy and paste whatever is there into the research. When I say copy and paste, it might also include, for instance, maybe paraphrasing, or even if you are citing what you are reading, doesn't mean that your literature review is of rigorous value or of, say, effective value. And so what you need to do, of course, is to synthesize whatever you are reading, okay? And this synthesizing data is very important, as here the role of AI will be very limited. And so yes, AI can be of use to you as a researcher when it comes to, even as Mr. Bin Sahaf said, formulating questions, good and final research questions. It can be of use to you when it comes to finding relevant articles, finding relevant scholars who have talks on the topic you are researching. But again, this AI cannot be of any use, cannot be very effective when it comes to synthesizing data. Okay, and so this stage, of course, is very important, as it requires from the researcher to do all the work by themselves. So here at this stage, again, the use of AI is very limited and is of less use compared to other stages of the research. Another issue or challenge of the literature review is when it comes to, I'd say, the different sections that you are going to include in your literature review. Okay, and if you are, for instance, I'd say researching a topic, for instance, as I can say the use of AI in education. Okay, so what sections are you going to include as part of your literature review? And as I said, many researchers struggle with structuring their literature review logically. And here, of course, comes the role of AI. And so you can choose whatever AI tool you want. Of course, it must be one that is, I say, systematic and reliable. And it can, of course, give you a number of versions of how your research or your literature review should be or must be, I'd say, structured. Another problem, again, has to do with plagiarism. So incorrect citations, formatting, and intentional plagiarism are common issues in academic writing. And so sometimes researchers have plagiarized and they have no idea that they have plagiarized. And sometimes, again, there might be problems with how a work, a book maybe, or an article is cited. And so again, researchers can take it upon themselves to just refer back to an AI tool that can help them through this process step by step. And of course, it can identify whether there are any problems with how your work is structured, any problems about how work is, again, cited or referenced. Another issue, again, here is proofreading. So many researchers may be unaware of existing grammar clarity and coherence issues within the literature review. Okay? And while there are some, I say, some websites that can offer the ability to proofread your work. Okay, these websites may not be, of course, very reliable, and so you can make use of AI tools to do the work for you. And of course, as I said before, there must be a supplementary or complementary relationship between you as a researcher and an AI. And so you cannot, of course, take for granted whatever is given to you by AI. And so you have all the time to check maybe the grammar, check the language, check the coherence of the ideas presented, check even the truth, the truthfulness of the information this AI provides. Another aspect or challenge has to do with synthesizing data. So researchers need to compare and contrast different studies, identify trends, and synthesize findings, which can be time-consuming. As I said, doing research or doing a literature review is not just about reading articles or books and try to summarize and copy and paste whatever in your research. So again, research or good literature review requires from you as a researcher to synthesize the data clearly and to show how the different ideas that you have included in the research compare in terms of, for example, of maybe how they are going, for instance, to add to the existing research, or whether you are going to say criticize certain methodologies that have been misleading or that were maybe insufficient in certain areas of the research. So for research and ethics. So as a definition, ethics in research refers to the principles and standards that guide responsible and morally acceptable conduct in scholarly investigations. And it involves ensuring honesty, integrity, transparency, and respect for human and intellectual rights throughout the research process. So again, the relationship between research and ethics is very important. And so while, as I said, there are many researchers who make use of AI in their, process of doing research. Most or the majority of them are, of course, unaware of the ethical considerations that must be considered when they are doing research using an AI tool. And so these ethical considerations, of course, may be violated either intentionally or unintentionally. And we are going to see some examples of that. So before I move to some of the rules of thumb that must be considered by researchers doing their literature review, okay? So here are some of the most widely used AI tools, especially when it comes to doing a literature review. So we have, for instance, SciSpace, we have Elicit, Perplexity AI, ChatGPT, ChatPDF, Grok AI, Consensus, etc. So for SciSpace, for instance, one of the best AI tools ever, especially for researchers who are, having problems finding relevant and up-to-date resources for their work, for their research. Okay, and so what this SciSpace, for instance, does is that you just write maybe your research question or maybe the title of your research, and then it will give you a list of all the articles that are relevant to that specific title. And again, you can choose whatever article you want, and you can ask questions about that specific research. You can ask questions, for example, about the methodology used in that specific article. You can ask about the results of that specific research. You can ask, for instance, about relevant other questions that might be, of course, of use to you as a researcher. Okay, and we have again Elicit that can pretty much do the same thing. Perplexity AI, ChatGPT. You are already familiar with the different or the myriad uses of this tool, especially in research purposes. And then we have ChatPDF, which again can allows researchers to just upload a PDF, article, book, whatever reading material you have, and then you can ask questions again like SciSpace. You can ask questions about maybe the research gap existing in that specific article. You can ask questions about the literature that different scholars mentioned in that literature review, along with many things. So here are some rules of thumb for researchers doing the literature review, okay, using AI. So again, don't use AI to write sections. So AI-generated text lacks originality, critical thinking, and scholarly insight. So using AI to write entire sections of research questions, such as a literature review, methodology, or conclusion, is unethical and may result in misleading or low-quality work. So again, this has to do with the originality of the work that you are producing. And so what you need to do is not to rely on AI to write whole sections for you, or to even generate things by itself. So here again, as I will show you again, we need to use AI just for very simple but important, say, stages of the research. And this has to do with brainstorming, again, ideas, okay? Locating relevant and important, say, resources, and along with many other things. But again, to write a section, to write a whole section using AI would be unethical. And ethical issue here is not just you are writing something that is not yours. That's not the main issue here. Is that the main issue has to do again with whether what you have written, whether what AI has written or provided to you is actually true, is actually up to date, is actually maybe relevant to what you are working on. And this again brings us to the second rule, which has to do with fabricating data. So the rule doesn't say, of course, fabricate data. It says that AI will generally fabricate data. Okay, and so you have to be careful as a researcher to verify, to check whatever is given to you by AI tools. So AI cannot conduct experiments or collect real data. So using AI to generate fake research data, statistics, or results is considered academic fraud. And so when I say generating fake research data, again, may be intentional or unintentional. And so at some stage, you will ask, for instance, a specific AI tool to generate maybe questions for you, or to say what a scholar has said. So what did, for instance, Julian House say about this topic? And then the tool is going to give you mirrored information about that specific question. And the question again is whether these information are actually true or not. And the second question has to do with whether you are going to use that, or whether we are going to check whether these are true or not. The second thing has to do with AI-generated references or citations that may also be fabricated. And so you might, for instance, ask an AI tool to give you a list of scholars who have worked on a specific field. And so you might, for instance, find the name of the scholar, the year of the work, the title of the article, but they may all be fabricated. And this is again due to the hallucinations of certain AI tools. And these hallucinations, these inconsistencies are no exception to any tool. So every single tool, AI tool, may hallucinate, may fabricate data. And so it is the responsibility of the researcher to again check, to cross-check and to verify whatever produced or given by AI. So AI-generated references, AI-generated references or summaries may contain errors or hallucinations. So always verify the accuracy of AI-suggested sources by consulting original studies. And the last one, be transparent. So clearly disclose the use of AI in the research process, specifically how it was used for literature search, synthesis, and analysis. As you can see on the slide, we have an example of AI disclosure. So it has to do with being transparent when using AI in your research. And there are, say, a number of universities and institutions around the world which have put forth some guidelines for researchers on how AI should be used, okay? And when it should be used and how it should be used, okay? And you can see, for instance, on the slide, according to Princeton University, right? Rules and responsibilities, Princeton University students must confirm AI is permitted by an instructor and disclose the use of AI in any academic work. And so it specifies when, again, it should be used, how it should be used, and maybe when it should not be used, okay? And whenever you use something, for instance, AI to write maybe research questions, or to refine the research questions, or to maybe find relevant resources for your research. Again, this must be mentioned in the research. So it can be, for instance, done in the methodology, maybe done in a separate section. But again, you have to check the various guidelines put forth by different institutions on how the AI should be mentioned and how it should be cited. Okay, I think that's it for my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Dahia, for this rich presentation. Of course, literature review facilitates contextualizing our research and building our theoretical framework. Indeed, researchers face several challenges while using artificial intelligence, but also there are positive impacts of artificial intelligence on researchers' practices as well. As you said, facilitating planning or structuring the research. It seems that Dr. Aziz Qaisi is facing some technical problems. Therefore, we can move to the discussion of the two previous presentations before we go to the second session with us today. Let's move to Mr. Dahia again. Mr. Dahia, could you elaborate on the specific ways artificial intelligence tools enhance the efficiency of literature reviews, and how do they compare to traditional methods in terms of time and accuracy?
Okay, so the most important thing when you have, for instance, we have research to conduct has to do with the title. So you have a title, you want, for instance, to identify the research gap. Okay, you have some research questions, and research questions lead you to identifying the research gap. What you are going to say focus on exactly. Okay, and again, to identify the gap, the research gap, you have to do a lot of readings. So it might take you again weeks and weeks to just identify the research gap, and this is because you will be required to read, I say, tens of articles and books, okay, on that specific topic of yours, and this again can be easily done using again reliable AI tools like ChatGPT and Grok, the recently emerged AI tool. Okay, and so AI in this case can reduce the amount of time spent on works or tasks that can be easily done, okay, in a minute or in 5 minutes, okay. And even though if it takes 1 day to do, you will still have again the time to verify whatever given you by the AI, okay. And this verification comes, for instance, when you just check whether the sources, the scholars given by the AI are actually true or not. And so I have come across, for example, some issues with the use of AI. For instance, you might ask ChatGPT to give you maybe scholars who specialize in translation, for instance, okay? And you take that scholar, you go to Google and try to find out whether this scholar has actually said what AI purports to, okay? And then you find out that this scholar doesn't actually exist, that the title of the work given by AI doesn't actually exist. So everything is fabricated.
Yeah,
everything is fabricated.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is hallucinations.
Hallucinations, yes. Okay. As I said, there are no exceptions to any AI. Okay, when it comes to hallucinations, when it comes to the fabrication of data. Okay, and so if you, for instance, use a fabricated data, okay, AI will not be held accountable for that. So you will be held accountable for whatever misuse, whatever misdemeanor comes from your part. So it is your responsibility as a researcher, again, to cross-check, to verify all the data, all the resources, all the information or the ideas presented or produced by AI.
Thank you. In your opinion, what are the key skills researchers should develop to effectively integrate artificial intelligence into the literature review process while maintaining the integrity of their research?
There is a new skill now that's emerged with the emergence of AI, okay, which is prompt engineering. And so sometimes you might have experience, for instance, you ask AI to a question maybe, okay, and you find out that the question is maybe misunderstood or misinterpreted by the AI tool, okay, and again you try to rephrase the question, and the more you rephrase, the more you detail, the more accurate, maybe satisfying the answers are, okay. And so as a researcher, we have to know how to communicate with AI to use them in your advantage.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dahia. Thank you, Mr. Professor Ben Zahaf. Now let's move to
Well, I'm still here. Yeah, I heard the question. It's interesting. We can locate or identify the research gap from the literature review automation. But then we have to ask the question whether it's relevant and significant or not. Does it align with current trends? Does it address a real-world problem? We need to evaluate this research gap against other sources, in fact. We cannot rely on what is given to us by AI because it can make errors. That's it. Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you, Dr. Bezhaf. Indeed, Miss Dr. Professor Reem have mentioned earlier using linked PDFs or connected PDFs, or and also Mr. Amdiaz have mentioned using Mendeley and those platforms in which we can find articles that might facilitate our search in the literature in order to find the research gap. Yes, Mr. Amdiaz, yes. Please activate the mic. Activate the mic, please. Mr. Amdiaz.
Ahmed, I can add that finding the research gap isn't an easy task, you know. Applying for a doctorate, you know, depends upon writing a proposal, and the proposal, you know, one of the elements or the important elements of the proposal for a PhD is the abstract, and in the abstract, you keep, you know, mentioning why you are applying for this, you know, this doctorate, and this depends upon some gaps or research gaps that you have already, you know, finding a research gap needs reading and reading and reading, you know, and since you know, AI, you know, now is, I can see that it is a must, you know, a researcher can, you know, balance, you know, between reading and searching using those artificial intelligence tools, but he or she has not to fully depend on those tools, you know, and which means that we need some, some, you know, to use those artificial intelligence tools by which we search, you know, in a critical way and not fully depend on them. Yes.
Thank you so much. Indeed, these artificial intelligence tools are learning from humans or are trained by humans, and some may use these artificial intelligence to train humans as well. So, any final words before we conclude this conference, Professor Ben Zahaf?
Thank you very much. Thank you all. I had the pleasure of giving my presentation here today with you. Artificial intelligence, as my colleagues and the fellow researchers said, it's transforming research. It's making life easier, in fact. But we need to use it cautiously. We need to exercise our critical thinking. It has pros, but it has also cons because it sometimes makes mistakes. It fabricates, it hallucinates. So we have to be on our guard against these disadvantages, and we need to make use of it in our research to transform it and to move forward. Thank you all.
Thank you. Professor Idrisi.
Well, first of all, it was a great pleasure for me to be here with you again, sharing my articles, findings with the audience and your distinguished speakers, by the way, including Professor Ben Sahaf, Si Bilal, Professor Reem, and Professor Saeed. It's so happy to be here with you, and happy Ramadan, and thank you all for being here. Okay.
Thank you. Professor Reem.
Thank you all. It was a pleasure. I was really happy to take place and participate in this academic exchange. As Professor Ben Zahaf has mentioned, AI is both a blessing and a curse at the same time. So it should be approached cautiously from researchers and students. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Reem. Mr. Amdiaz also. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It is a great pleasure to have participated with you with such with such amazing colleagues and professors. It is I have just to add. Artificial intelligence must be regarded, as a facilitator, as a simplifier, but it is not it should not be regarded by researchers, as an end, as already mentioned by Professor, Mohammed Idrisi. Thank you so much, and it is a great pleasure once again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. As we conclude this enlightening conference, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to all speakers, Dr. Bush Ibn Zahaf, Professor Ismail Dahia, Professor Al-Arj Reem, and Professor Bilal Amdiaz, and Professor Mohammed Idrisi. Thanks to all the Academy's members and organizers who have contributed to making this event successful. Today we have explored innovative approaches to integrating technology in research, in education, and particularly we have been talking about the transformative power that artificial intelligence has. It is transforming all our practices, even so if they are in the research or in the teaching or practices. The insights shared highlighted critical, theoretical, and practical insights also. As we move forward, I hope we can continue fostering this collaboration between researchers in order to share the best practices and to support one another in navigating the dynamics of the new area of research and artificial intelligence. Thank you once again for your active participation and engagement. We look forward to interacting with you at our future scientific events, lectures, or conferences. When we can continue to exchange ideas and drive positive change in research, linguistics, culture, gender, education, and other disciplines. Thank you so much. Enjoy your meal.
Thank you very much. See you all.
Sure.
Thank you.